Hi, I'm Irene Wong, and today I have one of my favorite judge and coach, Steve Dougherty. I always pronounce his name wrong, so
that was good.
That's a good one. So to share with us about the judge point of view, that's one of my series about asking judges. So Steve actually is one of the world smooth show dance champions, and also five-time U.S. Open Smooth finalist, and also is the National Rising Star American Smooth champion. Wonderful. He also is a certified national adjudicator and dance vision examiner. Of course, a studio owner as well. So he has tons of experience. Tons experience. So now we're going to ask some questions for him. So the first question is, as you are judging in the dancers at the competitions, what are the things that may be the most important things that you're looking for?
Okay, so what do I look for when I'm judging a dance competition? There's a lot of things that you can look for. You don't have a lot of time to look for things, but I think it really depends also on the level that the person is dancing. So if I'm judging a bronze or a closed syllabus or a silver competition, to me what's important at that level is your technique, footwork, frame, posture, all the basic elements, and that's what I really will zero in on that because that's what's important at that level. As you progress in the categories from silver to gold to open gold or advanced, then the criteria expands. So as you move up in a category, if you're silver, I start to look at more movement, more arm style, more styling. If you start getting into the open category, the gold or the open category, then it has to continue. More flamboyance, more character, more play with the audience, play with your partner. I will expect, by the time you're in an open advanced level, then I will expect the whole package. Everything's got to be there. Musicality, rhythmical movement, good flight across the floor. So all of it becomes important. So as you go up the levels, the criteria expands.
Makes sense, right? So people are going to ask, footwork versus the top, which is more important?
I always say they're both very important, but footwork to me is a key thing because it's your foundation. You start from the bottom up, and if your feet are doing the right thing, and it's not because we like to nag on, oh, you didn't take that heel lead. Well, you didn't take that heel lead. We nag on that not because we just want to see the heel lead and it's written that way. It's because it's important to the foundation, and it can impact how you move or how a step is executed. So footwork is important. But sometimes as a judge, if there's a lot of people on the floor, we can't examine everybody's feet in the moment. So top line is also very important. Maybe that's all I can see across the floor. So a good presentation at the top, accurate, consistent, neat is very important. So I think you really need to concentrate both equally.
Wonderful. So now get into the question that we talk about when we are doing quarterfinal and final. You through multiple times. What is more important when you see each of the quarterfinal to final?
And that's important because, from a quarterfinal, when it's a more crowded floor and we have to choose a certain amount of couples to bring back, the thing that I always say is you just have to sell it. Sell whatever you're doing. Doesn't matter if you make a mistake, doesn't matter if you missed your choreography. I don't know your choreography, but just make it look like whatever you're doing you meant to do, even if it's wrong. Because at that moment, I can't analyze everybody's feet and this and that. I'm going to look around the room and I'm going to say who stands out, who's selling it, who looks most flamboyant, who's really exercised, because I don't have a lot of time. And we don't have a lot of time to look at feet. There's a lot of people on the floor. As you get to a semifinal, same thing. Keep selling it. I might have a little more time to look at more details, so make sure you're consistent in some of your foundation and your technical aspects. But when you get to a final, there's only 6 couples on the floor. Now you're going to be scrutinized from top to bottom. So it's important to make sure everything is together. Hopefully you've got that routine down now by that final. Hopefully everything is going along well, and the consistency is the most important because you never know when the judge is looking at you. So you can always say, oh, my opening was brilliant. I don't understand why I didn't place better. Well, maybe I didn't see your opening and I saw the end where it didn't happen as well. So that's why consistency through the performance is so key every round, especially in the final.
I know. You keep telling me I need to be consistent.
Yeah.
That's the most important. Can you see a performer from far side of the floor, or they need to be in close to you?
Well, that's an interesting question because sometimes competitors think they need to stand right in front of the judges so that they'll be seen. And from my experience, sometimes when you stand right in front of me, I can't see anything because how do I get a perception of the whole concept of what you're doing when you're right in front of me? So maybe I'm just going to see your face or your arm or your hand, but if you stood a little further back, I might get a better idea of the whole picture. So judges are trained to be able to scan the floor, to see everybody there. We can see you in the far corner. We can see you in the center of the floor. We pretty much know where to look for you. So I wouldn't get bogged down on where you should be placed all the time. Just the one thing I will say is sometimes if you're in a very beginner category, and maybe you're doing a cha-cha that doesn't move a lot, that it's important that, well, from a teacher's point of view or your student point of view, is that the judges can see your number. So if you have a routine and your partner who has the number on the back is always facing the judges and your routine never turns, well, I can't see your number. So make sure that you do something that's going to turn somewhere so I can see your number, because you don't want me to wait till the end to find out what your number was, because then maybe you don't get the placement, because if I can't put down your number, then I can't mark you. So that's important to make sure that, you know, you do some rotation, especially in the dances that don't move a lot, that we can find you. But
that's very interesting.
We can see you no matter where you're on the floor. We can figure it out. What I do say though is sometimes, you know, ballrooms, if there's like a dark corner, like don't hang out there forever, because if I'm scanning the room, yes, I might be able to see you, but if you fade away into a dark shadow on the corner of a floor, you know, it's okay to dance through there, but don't hang out there. So
that's great advice. So there's something I don't know. So do you remember dancer from comp to comp and what improvement they have made? Would that impact your scoring at all?
I have a whole spreadsheet on that. I keep files on everybody. No. So, you know, yes, sometimes you know, when you're judging a lot, of course you're going to remember people from comp to comp. Do I remember their performance from the last comp to this comp? Maybe, maybe not. As a judge, and most judges, not that I'm going to speak for everybody, but just from conversations, pretty much we're looking at you on that day that you're competing. So I'm not going to look at you and say, well, it's not so great today, but I saw her 2 weeks ago or him 2 weeks ago, and they were fabulous, so I'll give them benefit of the doubt. No, whatever you're doing on that day is what I'm judging. So back to that consistency question. But yes, we recognize faces. I recognize faces. I know who people are sometimes. But in the moment, it's what you're doing on the floor and who you're up against at that moment that's really going to matter.
That's just great. So does the pro performance count when judging amateur ladies?
So I'm going to answer that question two ways. So first thing is, as a judge, what we're instructed to do when you become a judge is that when you are dancing a single dance event, you know, just a single individual dance, is not a championship or a scholarship, judges are supposed to be judging the amateur partner against the other amateur partners. So we're supposed to really just zero in on the amateur competitor, not so much the pro you're dancing with, just the amateur competitor. So we're and my dog agrees with that at this moment.
Yes.
So yes. So that's what we're looking for. When you're dancing in a championship round, we are guided to be paying attention a little bit more to the partnership. So yes, we're still judging amateur competitor against amateur competitor, but also how do you relate to your pro partner? What's the interaction? Does it look like you're gelling together? Is the partnership working? As far as, and sometimes the comment comes to me that, oh, well, this person's being marked because they have a finalist, a pro who's in the finals or something like that. Certainly that's not how I judge. I mean, I judge you on your merits. What I will say sometimes, you know, because people are going to say, oh, yeah, that's what he's saying because he's being diplomatic, and it's not true. But what I will say, sometimes on a crowded floor, if there's 14 couples, 12 couples, whatever it is, and we have to make decisions quickly, and I recognize a couple of finalists on the floor, they may catch my attention first, not because I'm just going to mark them, but because I'm thinking, well, all right, so this guy's a U.S. champion. Let me look at his student, because maybe they trained them really well, because you sometimes make that association. And sometimes it is, and sometimes it isn't. So the only thing is that maybe I recognize a pro on the floor, so I might look at their student first before I look at somebody else, but it doesn't mean it's an automatic mark or an automatic callback. So that's why I say if you sell it enough, then maybe I won't look at that guy, because I'm going to look at you instead, because you're catching my attention. So
that is exactly one of the questions that some of the competitors that feel that the judges may be very political, so you judge more if you do more coaching lessons and things like that. Who you dance with, that is exactly related to what you just talked about.
Yeah, I always mark the people who spend more money with me. Absolutely. No, that's not true. So no, and I know that's out there, and I answer that question with our own students all the time. It's very political. It's very political. They're always going to mark this. I think sometimes that we're given, or I also get the comment, well, the judges hate me. They're never going to mark me. They hate me. And the fact of the matter is we don't have a lot of time to hate or like anybody. Basically, we're there to judge your dancing in the moment that we're looking at it. And as much as you think we might hate you, we don't hate you. I don't even know half of them, so how could I hate anybody, right? So, and as far as the political thing goes, for me, I'm judging what I see in front of me at the moment. So I don't care if you have done 1,000 lessons, you've sponsored this comp, you did 20 entries or 200 entries in every comp. That doesn't matter to me. What are you doing on the floor at the moment? And I think most judges come with that perspective as well. So whether it's political or it's not, you can always toss it up to, it doesn't matter what you do in life, somewhere there's going to be politics somewhere at one point. Maybe it happens once in a while. They'll participate in it, or I'm not aware of it specifically, but I think it's important to really always concentrate on what you're doing and pay attention to that and stop paying attention to the externals, and I think you'll find that you'll be rewarded for it in the end.
Yeah, I agree that we compete against ourselves instead of worry too much about political. So I like that. So another thing is, what is the acceptable social interaction between an active judging, the people judging, and an active competitor? Sometimes we feel, we cannot talk to judge or cannot talk to judge and something like that. So what is the acceptable interactions?
Right. So I think, yes, judges are instructed that they're really not supposed to have much interaction with competitors while they're competing, So if you're still competing and I still might be judging you, we shouldn't have these long, in-depth conversations. But I think it's taken to an extreme that people misunderstand a little bit. Yes, I can say hello to you. Yes, I can say how are you. Yes, how are you doing? Or how's this? Or how was your trip? I can say those things. The things we really cannot do is you can't ask us about your dancing and I can't comment on how you danced. So basically anything that's related to your competitive moment at that competition or your dancing or anything related to your dancing is not up for discussion when if I should see you when we're at a competition. That's the taboo. But, can I say hello to somebody? Absolutely. I'm not going to walk by you and ignore you. But, sometimes it's really optics. You don't want to give the impression in a long, in-depth conversation, or we're going to sit at the bar and have a drink together for an hour. You don't want to give the optics that, there's something going on there that shouldn't be going on. Casual conversation, social interaction, yeah, that's fine. Just avoid conversations about dancing. And understand that the judge may not be able to stand there and talk to you for 20, 30 minutes at a time, or have a drink with you or something, because that would probably be, it's just, optics is the thing. I think, people don't want to be perceived as something is being going on, because nobody knows the conversation you're having, and you don't want anybody to feel that there's an unfair advantage there. But yeah, if you see me in the hallway, if you know me and you like me, you can say hello. If you don't have to say hello, and I won't be offended. But yeah, it's okay. So
that's wonderful. One last thing. So if you have a final, recommendation and things for competitors, what would you say to them?
I would say that remember when you're dancing, your dancing is important, your technique is important, your foundation is important, but a lot of the times the whole package is important. So put thought behind the costume you're going to wear. Put thought behind the makeup and the hair that you're going to use. Men or ladies, it doesn't matter. I can't have a guy going out there with his hair going all different directions. A little gel product sometimes is good. And choose a dress that's, that suits you, that's comfortable for you, that suits the style you're dancing in. And then when you do your performance, try to be as consistent from beginning to end, because remember, the judges are looking at you for 10 to 15 seconds at a time. And just because you're brilliant in one section of your routine and you weren't in the other, maybe I looked at you when it wasn't as brilliant as you would have hoped, right? And then you wonder, well, why did this judge mark me, first, and why did this one mark me fifth? Well, if your routine wasn't consistent from beginning to end, and I happened to see you in that not so great moment, and they saw you in the better moment, well, that's why the marks can differ sometimes, because, so if you're consistent, then more than likely you're going to see your marks consistent, and nothing pleases me more than to see somebody dancing on the floor who looks like they're having a good time. sometimes when they're not smiling, and sometimes if you're thinking and you're not, because you're not smiling, you're not smiling because you're thinking too much. I don't know that necessarily. I just think, oh, what a shame, they're not having a good time. Why are they here today? You know, and I want to enjoy your dancing. So if you enjoy your dancing, I'll enjoy your dancing, and in the end, that's going to make an impact on what I see and how I feel about your performance. So have a good time. So I think that's important. We want to share in your joy, and that's key.
Yeah, I like that. So the joy of dancing, consistence, and that's the most important.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. I learned so much just from the interview. I hope you do too.